we face a lot of challenges as doctors, and I would say that most of the time it's a general thing. The way the system works here, our health system, it's not. I'd say it's nothing to really write home about, especially when you compare how it is here in Nigeria to maybe where you're coming from or other developed countries. So you see a situation whereby you get to the hospital, you see yourself doing things that you as a doctor you're not supposed to do in the first place, even in your working place.
Like what?
Having to sometimes you be the one to check patients' vitals, you be the one to take
Gonna be the nurse.
samples. Exactly what I'm saying. Sometimes you are understaffed in such a way that you just have to, come up and do the other necessary things that you are not. So, in terms of you being overstaffed or understaffed most times, then maybe getting to talk to your patients sometimes, and the patients will always, the Nigerian mentality that even when you are taking some histories from patients, some of them might not really want to come out openly to tell you, okay, this is really the problem and things like that. So as doctors, you face your own, everybody, you have your own story to tell, but all in all, at least we are juggling everything together, and we are doing well so far. But I think the system, we still have a very long way to go when you compare to other places. We are still very far behind. So that's the thing. It happens a lot. But most times for I don't think it's just for doctors. I think generally anybody who is working, even those in businesses, it's just that ours sometimes will require you to do some night shifts and things, and it also depends on where you're working. Some people will be like, okay, you, I don't do night shifts. Okay, for me recently I just started doing nights. I still juggle it with my day jobs sometimes.
You
If
have a
I'm
day
on
job?
call, yeah, sometimes I do during the day. Some days I do nights. So it's like shifts. Sometimes in some places you do like 1 weekday, the next week will be nights, the next one will be this. So you do like alternate week and alternate nights. So it depends. But it's the system. I think some of these things are like by the time you get there, you find a way to balance up. For me, I have somebody I stay with. I also stay with my sister-in-law, even though my husband is not around, but at least they also help me take care of the kids. For now I just have one, so it's not like a big thing. At least we manage. Though it's just that some nights that I'm not around, my son will always be like, "Ah, mommy, are you not sleeping at home today? You promised to sleep at home tomorrow." You always find something to tell them, and I try to come back early in the morning, at least before he leaves for school, to
Early in the
see
morning.
him. Like as early as before 7. I try to be home because his bus comes around after 7. So I try to be home 7 o'clock thereabout. But in some places, morning shift will finish by 8. Sometimes you see yourself getting home 8:39. By that time, he has gone to school. So, things like that. But, what you try to do is not take a lot of nights. You might do like 3 nights in a week, and then your weekend is off, or your weekend you are still on duty. You might still need to go, but try to balance the two. I think even if my husband is also around, I think somehow we would have found a way around it too, because it's either he will help on those days that I'm not around, and then days that I'm around, I'll have to. I think all these things you just have to get a balance, strike a balance between the two. It helps a lot, especially if your partner too understands the nature of your job. It's something that in much of the negative parts. The only thing is that, okay, sometimes it's not always safe, especially when you're on night duty, that you have to go to the hospital and stay, and till the next morning, and it depends on where the hospital is located. If it's not a safe place, you might see yourself getting molested sometimes. But all those things are things you have to consider even when taking a job from somewhere. But apart from that, another one that I kind of experienced initially, not now, was when I was working in a teaching hospital. Most times, the general conception um, that most, I would say, most doctors are male and most of the nurses are female. Sometimes you get across some patients that will be like, once they see you, they'll be like, "Auntie nurse, auntie nurse." I'm like, I'm not a nurse, but you don't have to come out and tell them. You just do those things that they want you to do. It's only maybe some of the people around might be like, she's not a nurse, so she's a doctor, but it's just that general conception. Then, especially in big institutions where you have a lot of doctors and a lot of nurses, and most of the doctors are male. So most times the patients, especially in the villages, rural areas, they will be like, once they see you as a female, they will call you a nurse. But it's not like that anymore. They are stopping some of this. They intend to stay for such a long time in Russia. I just wanted to, do what I got there to do.
Which was to study medicine.
Study medicine and come back to Nigeria and practice. I know that, when you compare and contrast, okay, payments, yeah, it might pay you better here. Russia is not so lucrative, especially because this communist system of government that they have, for you to even earn well and be able to take care of yourself as a doctor, is either you're into private practice, which is not so common there as at then when we were there. So some of the people, most Nigerians, we just go there, study, and you leave. It's either you come back home, do something better, or you go to another country to practice. So it's not really such a place you want to stay. And Russia is very far. Their racism, whatever, is still there, because even as a student, you've experienced a lot, and you're just looking for, let me just get done or finish what I have to do here so I can go home. So all those things put together, it's not really that we are there to go and stay. We're there to go and get something, and once you get what you're there to get, you just leave at the end of the day. And then they don't have the system whereby, as a foreigner, when you finish studying, you apply for papers and they give you don't get anything. Now I heard they are trying to do some things, especially for people that came out with first class and things, but still, most of the people, you don't want to stay back. Even with them offering to give you papers, residency, and stuff like that, we are still not that. Russia is very good when it comes to teaching. They do it in such a way that, as in, I enjoyed studying there. Even though I did mine in Russian language, it was a bit more hectic for me. It was even more difficult for me. Even when I came back to Nigeria, I started practicing here. Why? Because I studied in Russian language. Most of the time when you want to, I lacked in area of communicating with patients, because starting it and doing it in a language that I have to, recite it over and over again. Sometimes you speak even, or you talk to the patients, or they will say they don't understand what you're saying. You have to keep repeating yourself. You have to think about the questions you're going to ask. And some of their medical diagnoses are not just the way we have it here in Nigeria. Some things are common in some places. Okay, so some of those things are things that kind of, but even though there are hurdles, when you get there and you're able to, cross that, you still excel. When you come back to Nigeria, you still have to adapt to. In Russia, there's nothing like medicine, gastroenteritis, like some typhoid fever, malaria, things like that are not there. So it's only here in Nigeria that you have some of those things, Africa too. So when you come back, you still need to get used to those diagnoses, get used to how to clock patients, talk to them to find out what exactly is the thing they are having. So some of those things are the few hurdles that we faced when we came back here. And some drugs too, the pronunciation of some of those things, it's quite different. So we just try to balance up, and that's the importance of the housemanship we did for 1 year within the time we came back to Nigeria. Girl, go for it. Go for it. That's the first thing. Seriously, I have not really regretted the fact that I'm a doctor. I'm still enjoying it, and I know that once I leave here, it's even if I find myself outside Nigeria, I'm even going to, fly, So I'd advise even other not just the girls, even the guys. Most of the people are, once I see that you are even doing well, no matter how little, please go to a science class. Even the girl I have in my house, my girl, I'll be like, she was an art student, but I was like, see, I might not be able to do much for you, but I know the best I can do for you is to put you in the health line, and that's the place that I am. The best I can do for you is just to channel you through that, because I know that tomorrow you won't lack much. It's not as if, at least to some extent, you are covered. Getting a job, doing some necessary things, even if you have to go into private practice and stuff like that, at least you are covered to some extent.
Yeah.
You know where we are here in Nigeria, so you're on your own. Even as medical doctors, it's not always as smooth as, but we know that things are changing right now. It's right now, most things are changing, even though
For good or for bad?
for good, things are changing, because I think Nigerians and other people in the health sector are realizing that our doctors are not so comfortable with whatever it is they are getting, and having to risk your life at the end of the day for somebody, and even do some certain things you're not supposed to do. You go through all those, and then at the end of the day, you are paid peanuts. No insurance, stuff like that. It's not so, I would say, it's not so enticing, so to say. But then, I think most of the things are changing now. At least the doctor can go home with at least 200K at the end of the day. Sometimes it depends. If you're in a federal hospital, you are looking towards 300 thereabout. So it's, even those there are still looking for other ways to make extra cash, because all these things might come back at the end of the month, and before you do your budget for the month, the whole money is gone. You are back to square one, and you are waiting for the next salary, things like that. But so far so good. We are getting there, and we are kind of trying to see if they can do an hourly payment. When they do it hourly, it becomes better, because at least you'll be like, okay, I'm doing from so and wherever it is, at the end of the day, you've worked for how many hours, and that's how many hours they're going to pay you. So all those things, they are changing, and I think it's for the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
For anybody that wants to go into medicine, please do. It will really help. So that, some people will be so emotional when it comes to things like that. For me, I really experienced a lot, but I think most of the time, some of these things depends on the way you understand them. For people that studied in the rural areas, like Rostov or some other inner areas in Russia, you experienced more of those things. For people in the state capital, it's easy somehow, but once in a while you still come across some of these people that really want to show you that, see, we don't want black people around. So, but another thing that I would say is that some of those people are somehow, you'd say they are demented. But apart from that, some of my teachers, personally, some of them were really very, very good. Some of my teachers were really very, very good. And especially for the fact that they see us African students that we are very, very hardworking. We are, I would say, more hardworking than their own Russian children. you see, we want to do our homework, we want to learn, even though it's not our, because we know where we're coming from. So I think we've been through a lot here, that once we get there, we just want to,
Make
make
the
use
best
of,
of it.
yes. So you've been struggling somewhere, and you come to somewhere that, okay, it's a bit easier.
Yeah.
Why not grab that opportunity and go? So it's just some of those things. One of the experiences I had personally, there was one day I was trying to enter a bus, and one guy, I think he was drunk or something, he was coming down from the post. He pushed me, as in he was like, "You black." As in, I wasn't expecting that,
Of
but
course
then
not.
when he did that, I was so like, God. I wanted to hit him, but then my friend with me was like, "What if you hit him and he hits you back, or he stabs you? What will happen?" I was almost crying that day, but I just left him. I entered the
terrible.
bus. I just sat down. But I was like, for him to have done that, he's not normal. You understand? So it's left for me to see through what he's going through. He's not normal for him to have seen me and be talking. Here in Nigeria, when you see a white person, it's either you are admiring that person or something. But for them to see foreigners and they are even rude and things like that, it goes a long way. But when you see the educated ones among them, they are very good and they are very welcoming. They want to make sure you're very comfortable. My teachers will always be like, are you sure you understand? You want me to go through it again? Blah, blah, blah. They just want to make sure that you are okay. Even if their own student they don't understand, they want to make sure that you personally, you know what, because at the end of the day, you're the one that will come for exam and will make your teacher proud, and you'll be like, yes, I know her, she's my student, she's one of my best students, things. Housing, I didn't really experience much. Ours was like a hostel for foreign students. We had like, for our hostel, most of the time, where they would just put us on the last floor, 15th floor, in the sense that once there's a problem with the lift, you will climb and climb and climb, but it's not something that happens so often. So most of the time the lift is working, it's just that you have to really get to the last
For that
floor.
one day.
And for that, yes,
For that one day it's not working, you're in trouble.
you're in trouble. It's either you think of not going out, or you just have to climb and use it as a form of exercise. Just go and do your thing for that day. But it doesn't happen very often. It's just once in a while something. But then, apart from that, there was another experience I had in the hostel with, I think we had a lot of, I think, Malaysian students, Indian students. And those ones, because the embassy is big and they have a lot of students, it's almost as if they have a particular hostel for them. So they feel as if they are ambassador or whoever owns the hostel. So even if you are asked to maybe share a room with them, I don't know, it's not easy having to share rooms with other people, especially.
You become an obvious outsider.
Yes, and the way they do their own thing, it's either you try to, unless you get close to the ones who are really like, they've been exposed to know that, yeah, even as an African, some of you are even far better than, a lot of you are even far better than them because
I've been to India. They are racist.
they are,
yes.
even though they are not white,
Yes.
I'd say
They still feel like somehow the
Yeah.
black man and woman is below them.
so it's all good. Most of the time I don't look at those areas. Mine is just to focus on what I'm there for, do
your
my
thing.
thing, and even try to show you that, yes, I'm good in what I'm doing, I'm even better than you. That's the most important thing at the end of the day. Show them you are better.